What's good, y'all? It's Mike here, doing, once again, a video on the James Harden trade, but this time, we're not talking about the main people in the trade, because even though the Rockets and the Nets were obviously the two big teams, two other teams have kind of gone under the radar in this trade because they had to get involved. That is the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And even though they certainly weren't the major teams involved, I would argue that they may have been the two teams who won the most by giving up the least in this trade situation. So first of all, I want to talk about the Pacers, alright? Get them out of the way first, because clearest Levert was recently found with a potentially cancerous tumor or growth on his kidney, I believe, and I guess he is simultaneously the biggest winner and loser of this trade. He's a loser because, maybe he has cancer, but he's a winner because if he was not traded, who knows how long it would have been before this was found. So thank goodness they found this when they did. Hopefully, Caris LeVert ends up being fine. He's not a player who I'm, especially a fan of or anything, but that is just a horrible thing for anyone to have to deal with. So, really hoping Caris LeVert ends up being okay. And the Pacers should be too, not only because, once again, horrible to have any kind of cancer-related issue, but also he could be a fantastic player for them. The Pacers managed to get Caris LeVert for Victor Oladipo, and considering the circumstances, I think that is a fantastic swap for the Pacers side of things. Oladipo is injury prone, and I know Caris LeVert's a little injury prone too, but I think it's fair to say Oladipo is more injury prone, alright? He's older, his deal is expiring, and who knows if he was going to stay with the Pacers. They offered him 3 years for, I believe, $25 million a year, and he turned that down. And on one hand, I can't really blame him because there's an argument that Oladipo, at his peak when he was an all-star, before he got hurt that is, was worth a max level contract, or at least very close to it, and that would be more than what they offered him. But on the Pacers side of things, the dude hasn't been playing like a max level player, except for that one season. He's been getting hurt, and he hasn't even been super confident on whether he actually wants to stay with the team or not. So I think swapping him for Levert was a fantastic move on their part. Obviously, Levert is not as good of a defender, however, he is just as good on offense, and I would say he might even have a higher ceiling because we really haven't seen all that Levert can do. He has never gotten the chance to be a primary offensive option on a team. He was behind D'Angelo Russell and arguably Spencer Dinwiddie before. Now he's been behind Kyrie, and then this year he's been behind Kyrie and KD. So I think he is going to thrive on this Pacers team, okay? Sabonis is a great player, but he plays in the post. He and Caris LeVert really shouldn't get in each other's way. And even though Malcolm Brogdon can score, he's primarily a facilitator. Caris LeVert is going to play great on this team once he gets healthy. Once again, I've said this a few times already, really hoping Caris LeVert ends up being totally fine, but assuming he ends up being alright and comes back completely healthy, this was a fantastic deal for the Pacers. Kind of an iffy one for the Rockets. Oladipo, I'll probably make a full video on the Rockets themselves during this week, because the Oladipo trade is interesting to me. It could end up working out very well, but depending on how it goes, I think it could also be just kind of a dumb move. I could definitely have seen Caris LeVert just making more sense on that team, but we'll talk about that later. The other team I want to talk about today is the Cleveland Cavaliers, because they were also big winners in this trade. In the James Harden deal, the Cleveland Cavaliers gave away Dante Exum and a 2022 first-round pick from the Bucks, which is basically a high second-rounder, because let's be real, that Bucks pick is going to be like the 29th pick in the draft, and they also gave away a 2024 second-round pick. In return, they got Taurean Prince, who no one cares about. They got some really late second-round draft pick from the Nets in 2017, who no one cares about. But the important thing that people do care about is that they got Jarrett Allen, a very talented young center who is currently under contract for the next few years and has a lot of potential, and in my opinion, is the perfect dude for this team to pair with Sexland, alright? Jarrett Allen is great for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, obviously, Andre Drummond has been absolutely ballin' this year, alright? He had like 30 and 20 the other night, and it was actually slightly higher than that. The dude's been going off. He's having arguably the best season of his career this season. It's been great. However, I don't think the Cavs are going to keep him because it just doesn't make sense in my opinion. He takes more shots than you really want from a big man with his talent. At least in the modern NBA. They have a lot of big men in general. I would expect them to do their best to try and trade him this season for more young assets. Try and get him to a team who really needs him. Maybe the Boston Celtics? I don't know. I really have no idea where he's going to end up, but I would not be surprised at all if the Cavs end up trading Drummond, because he just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for their future, especially because he's probably going to want a big contract. Jarrett Allen, on the other hand, is perfect for this team. He's a great rim runner. He can once in a blue moon get a bucket off a post-up, but that's not normally his game. His best thing is rim protection. He's a very good rim protector and just a solid overall defender at the center position, and that is what this team needs, because this Cavs team is not good on defense, okay? Their offense has been great this season. Their defense has not been that good. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Jarrett Allen is a better defender than Andre Drummond. And once again, the dude's very young. He has a lot of potential to go up from where he is right now. This is just a great pick for them. He fits perfectly with their timeline and with their talent as they're building around Sexland and Garland right now. Sexton is what I meant to say, Colin Sexton, and Darius Garland, alright? He is a great big to pair with those two perimeter scorers, and I just think this was a great deal for the Cavs, for basically a late first and a future second, and Dante Exum, who, you know, he's an okay role player, but like not anybody they're really gonna miss. To get rid of those guys, and I say guys, it's only Exum. What am I saying here? You know what I'm talking about, alright? Dante Exum and 2 picks, a late first and a second at some point, for Jarrett Allen is a great deal. Taurean Prince is maybe an okay bench role player too, and I don't even know who the heck the other dude is, but Jarrett Allen is the main one, and he's just perfect for this team, and absolutely great deal. I know they have a lot of centers right this second, sort of like the Pistons or last year's Knicks, but Andre Drummond's going to be gone this season. Kevin Love, when his contract finally ends in a few years, is going to be gone, or they managed to trade him. Alright, JaVale McGee's on a 1-year deal, I believe. It's not a big deal. Who knows how much we'll see of Jarrett Allen this season, but for the foreseeable future, great piece for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that is how I'm going to end this video today, guys. I just wanted to talk about these two teams who I think have really been slept on in this trade. Obviously, and I'm not saying it's unfair, the Nets and the Rockets do deserve to be the main teams because they were the main teams in this. But the Cavs and the Pacers really lucked out by managing to be a part of this deal. It was a great move by both of their organizations, and I think, we'll see how the Nets end up being. I've said I don't believe in them. The Rockets, it's great to get a bunch of picks, but it only matters if you do something with them. The Pacers and the Cavs got guys who can help them, clearly help them, for the foreseeable future. And so, in my opinion, they are the biggest winners of the James Harden trade. Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you enjoyed, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. We just hit 100 subscribers. That is an awesome milestone. And if you are not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you would raise that number. Thank you. Have a good one.